first day. And to start with, I won't take many complicated things, right? And I just want to give you a brief eye opener that as in how projects and expectations of interviewers as well as the company which you work for, how do they work? Okay, because most of the people coming here are manual testers and they want to clear interviews after the training, and generally the concept or the expectation of people is that we should be learning in order to clear the interview or something in Selenium or to work on a project. Okay, look, understand one thing, it's easy to learn Selenium. Anybody can learn it. Easy to learn Selenium. You can go online and you can easily learn Selenium commands. You can watch a few modules. You can read few blogs, and you can learn how to write the scripts in Selenium. You can learn Java a little bit, right? That is easy. Okay, the problem is also not that you have to build a project. Okay, you can also, with your resources and with the time you have, you can also build a pilot project with which, or a framework which which you call an automation. You can also build a project or a framework by your own, studying on your own if you want. But the problem is another thing, that is how to work as per the industry standards, how to build a project. Okay, how to learn Selenium to a level that you are ready for industry. Okay, because it's actually the expectation. I use the word expectation, how to come up to the expectation of the interviewer who is taking your interview. I've seen many people learning Selenium, but they go in a very different direction. And when they actually go in for an interview, they are asked questions for which they have not actually prepared. Okay, so any good interviewer who is having 5 to 6 years of experience, and if he's taking your interview, right, then what happens is he expects very different things what you have actually studied. The general notion of people learning Selenium is that fine, we'll first learn Java, then we'll learn Selenium, and then we'll do a small project or a framework, and then we'll be interview ready. No, it's not going to happen that way. Okay, I'm just giving you a brief eye opener that how things should be working and how you should be learning, and initial 10-15 minutes I'll just take for this. Okay, so this is the general expectation of people that fine, I'm going to do it this way. So this is not going to work because in practical, the actual projects, right, things are very different. Okay, whenever you have a project, suppose there is a client and he tells you that fine, these are 5 test cases, and please go and automate them. Right. So maybe the client is having a e-commerce website where he is maybe selling mobile phones online, and he tells you that fine, there are few scenarios which you have to automate. He says that fine, you have to automate adding product art. Okay, maybe he wants to automate the payment processes as well. Right. He want to automate the uh, he wants to automate the search functionality of his website. So maybe there are different scenarios he wants to automate. And you as a tester, you are supposed to build the scripts for these scenarios. So the problem is not building the script. The problem comes up when the scripts are ready. Okay, when the scripts are delivered to the client. The problem comes up when the client comes up for the changes. He says that fine, these are 5 scripts are good, okay, or whatever the number is, right? But I want to do few changes in them, and then you realize that it's very difficult to change the script because in automation things are very different than manual testing. For a manual testing flow, maybe this process that is, to make a payment, it might take you maybe 2 minutes to make a payment. But when you build a script for a payment process, it might take you 2 days to build the script. Automation, writing automation scripts, it is a lengthy process. It's a costly process for the client as well. And moreover, after building the script, if you are asked by the client to change the script, that is a much tougher thing if you have not built the automation architecture properly. Okay, and this is what any experienced interviewer, when he takes your interview, he actually is trying to understand that whether you know about the architecture, whether you know how to build a proper architecture having Selenium scripts which can be configured, changed, or modified very, very easily. Okay, right. Whenever you go for an automation interview, the commonly asked questions are like for something like, tell me about the framework you have worked on it, right? Or the interviewer can ask that, how do you run only sanity tests? For example, you have a project, okay, and in that automation project, you have 500 test cases, and out of those 500, you just want to run limited ones. You want to run just uh, say 100 test cases. Then how do you write a script which will only run some limited test cases, maybe sanity tests or smoke tests? So how do you do the cross-browser testing? There are some practical questions where the interviewer, he asks you, and uh, when he is asking these questions, he's actually not checking your technical skills. He's actually checking whether you have actually you have the knowledge of automation test architecture, that is how to build a proper end-to-end framework which can be changed, modified as per the client needs. Okay, so that's the thing, right? So I'll give you an example. For example, I was working on a project. That project was supported Chrome and Mozilla, right? And the client came up and told us that fine, now Edge has also come up in the market. Please run the scripts on Edge. So with the minimum changes, it just took us a minimum change of, let's say, 5 minutes, and we were ready with Edge. So you have to be, flexible in that way. All right. So this is the goal of the training as well. That is, obviously we will learn how to learn, how we learn about Java, we learn about Selenium, we'll do some project or framework as well. But the major goal is to execute the project or a framework with a proper architecture. Okay, understanding how to build everything architecturally correct. All right. So that is what the goal is, and that's what the expectation of the interviewer is generally. All right. Now, along with the training in the beginning, right, many people have many questions, right? Let me take up some frequently asked questions which people ask, generally manual testers, because the major problem is Java, and most of the people tell us that fine, I'm not aware of Java, or I know Java 50% or 30%, and I just don't want to, I want to hear some good words from your mouth that Java is not required. So it's not like that Java is not required. The complete, uh, Selenium coding is done in Java. This is one of the projects in the last class that I took up, data driven framework. It's the coding is completely in Java. Okay, you cannot just run away from Java. It is not possible. The only thing is that people have a fear of Java. Okay, manual testers. Maybe you have tried to learn Java in past, and maybe you did not learn it in the right way. Okay, It is something which will take practice. I will give you lots of practice exercises and quizzes to do, which will help you understand it in a better way and a practical way. Okay. And moreover, in this training, I will not take just Java. I will teach you Java, like I will teach you object-oriented programming. And then I will tell you how object-oriented programming is used in Selenium. I'll tell you a lot of like we will learn about interfaces in Java, a very important concept. And then I will parallelly tell you how interfaces are used in Selenium. Okay, so we'll try to make you understand in the best possible way that how things work with Java. Right. Now, another general question which people ask is that, how much time does it take to learn this tool? Generally, you know, we live in a world which is very fast, okay, these days, and people have an expectation that after the training I should be ready. Well, you will be ready after the training. Okay, it can be like within 3 weeks you can learn Selenium. That is not a problem. But as I told you, most of the us who are learning this tool over here in the training have the goal that we have to clear an interview. Okay, so if you want to clear an interview and if you are facing an interviewer who is having, say, 5 years of experience or 6 years of experience, you just cannot say, I can study for 3 months and face that person in 3 weeks. It's not possible. I'll say that it takes minimum 12 weeks minimum to be interview ready. Okay, even after the training ends, you will definitely feel the need that you need to sit down and practice for at least 1.5 months or 2 months. I have seen people getting jobs after the training. Some people also take 20 weeks to land up in a job after the training. Nobody is able to clear the first interview. Okay, it comes up with experience. You learn, you hit and try. But the only thing is you don't have to leave it. It is not tough, it is easy, but it's something which takes time. Don't expect fast results from yourself. That will never come up. Okay, right. Then another question which generally people ask, and I've answered that as well. Do you take up any projects and all in the training? We do take up projects. Project is known as a framework in Selenium or in automation, and there are different types of frameworks. We'll learn about it. Okay, with time you will understand everything. Okay, now these are generally the questions which almost everyone joining the training is having, right? Now, if you guys have any questions or anything, you can feel free to ask me now. You can send a message over the chat as well. There's a chat option. I will just send a hi message on chat. Okay, or you can also uh, unmute yourself and speak up if you want. Anything from anyone, any question. Okay, look, the thing is we have to have a very interactive training session. Only then you will be able to understand. Okay, so if you have any questions, there is no question which is a bad question. Okay, you can certainly be very comfortable over here and ask anything which is in your mind before we start off. Anything. No questions? Okay, all right. So there is a chat option as well. You can also use that, or in between, if you have any questions, you can, you know, uh, unmute yourself and you can ask questions. Right. Now, about Selenium, about this tool. Okay, let me just tell you a few things before we start away, because you need to be understanding the versions which you need to use and configure. Right. So just a minute. Look, the first thing is that you should go to the official website of Selenium. Okay, let me open the browser, and the official website of Selenium is selenium.dev. Okay, this is the official website. Fine. And first of all, you should be understanding what all you need to learn and which versions you need to use. Okay, there are primarily three components of this tool. Okay, okay. So first thing is that you need to understand Java, and please install JDK 11 or even JDK 8 will do. All right, you can go to Google and type download JDK. Okay, you can install 8 or 11. Both of them are very stable. 8 is the most stable version of Java. Okay, but there are few things which don't work on 8 and you might face issues. So I would suggest that you install JDK 8, JDK 11. Fine. And after installing JDK 11, what will happen? You can go to the Oracle website and create an account over here, and you will be able to install JDK 11. Right. And once you install JDK 11, you will get this in your C drive program files under Java. You will get this JDK 11 folder, Java Development Kit. You also need Java Runtime Environment, JRE. It is known as JRE. All right. There is a difference between both of these. As we carry on the course, you'll understand the difference. Okay. For JRE, it is very simple. You can go to java.com. Okay. And on java.com, you can simply download Java and install it. All right. So the thing is, this JRE is Java runtime environment. It helps you to add, run basic things in your browsers or something which run on Java. Apart from that, it will also help you to, run Eclipse and run your Selenium scripts as well. So gradually you'll understand what these things are. JDK, uh, you need to install JDK and you need to install JRE. After that, you need to understand about Selenium, that how things will work in Selenium. Look, this is the official website of Selenium. First of all, it's written over here, Selenium automates browsers. It's a tool which is only for automating the browsers. It's not for desktop applications. Fine. And there are three components in it. One is WebDriver, one is IDE, and one is Grid. Right. In this training, we will be learning WebDriver. Okay, and we will be learning a Grid. We will not be going with IDE because nobody uses IDE. IDE is a very simple tool, which you can say is a type of browser extension, right? It is a browser extension. It is a simple record and run tool. Okay, if you have done a little automation anywhere, or if you have heard about automation, then in automation there are features like, recording and running scripts. Okay, this is a tool which basically does recording and running of the scripts. Okay, so we don't prefer using recording and running, right? And moreover, this tool never generates any reports, nothing. It's not dynamic. Right. Selenium WebDriver, it is very dynamic. You can write dynamic scripts with it. Okay, dynamic scripts means that if you want to invoke Chrome, or if you want to invoke Mozilla, or if you want to invoke Edge and run the scripts on that, and after the running the scripts, if you want to generate some reports, so all these things WebDriver can do very easily. Selenium Grid is a tool which will actually, you know, help you run the scripts parallelly. Okay, in sorry, in Grid, what happens is that we have a single machine, and we connect other machines to this single machine, and we run the scripts parallelly so that we save time. Fine. So we need to learn Selenium WebDriver, and we need to understand Grid as well. Now the problem comes in the versions over here. Okay, if on the official website you go to the download section, they have clearly mentioned over here latest stable version is 3.141.59. This is the most stable version of Selenium. Whenever you work on a project, you work on stable versions. All right. If you have a project in your company right now, and if you want to work on that project, then I would recommend you to use this version, Selenium 3.141.59. But now Selenium 4 has come up. It's in the beta version, and there are problems in it. Okay, especially in Selenium 4, we are having problems with Selenium Grid. It's not working so smoothly and properly. Okay, so apart from this, you have the option of Selenium 4 as well. Selenium WebDriver is quite stable in Selenium 4. Okay, this is stable, but Selenium Grid in Selenium 4 is not stable. They will try to stabilize it with time. Okay, in this training, I will be taking up the latest version only, Selenium 4. All the commands of a very few except few commands of the older version, or all the other commands, they work in Selenium 4. Okay, but again, I repeat, if you want to work on a project, you can use this version. If you are learning Selenium 4, then learning 3.141.59, you don't need to learn it. All the commands will be supported. Okay, right. Apart from this, we'll also learn about tools like TestNG and Git, uh, Jenkins, extend reports. Okay, these are third-party plugins which you need to learn about. Right. Now, what are these things? That's why I told you it's not tough. It's something which is a little vast. Fine. Look, what happens is that in nutshell, I'll tell you. Uh, when you have Selenium, okay, when you work on Selenium, obviously you build test scripts. You might think today's session is little theoretical. It can be like this, but gradually we will go on to practical stuff as well. Okay, but you need to understand what these things are and at what stages you need to learn these things. Okay, so suppose these are my Selenium scripts. This is my first script number one. Hold on, it's hanged. Yeah, this is script one. This is script two or test case one, automation test case two. You can say that script four. Okay, when you are running these scripts, okay, there are a lot of things you need to take care of. You need to run them in a certain order, or you need to run them parallelly. Okay, then when they are running, you need to, generate some HTML reports which have got, let's say, screenshots of the errors and the logs. Logs, they mean that when the automation scripts they run, what happened at every moment. You need to log somewhere because at times the scripts they run for maybe 5 hours, 6 hours. You need to understand what happened at every moment in order to capture errors or failures properly. Okay. And this report, HTML report or something, we will be learning something known as extent reports. These are very professional reports. We'll be learning about them. Fine. Then apart from this, you have to, when the scripts are running, you have to manage the data as well. This is important. Okay, because data can be there in say JSON files or XLS files, and also properties files. Okay, we'll study about these things, what these are. Basically, there are two types of test data. One type is which never changes very frequently. The other type is which keeps on changing very frequently, the test data. So we have to manage complete or every kind of test data as well, right? Apart from that, as I told you, you need to configure the test cases on Selenium Grid as well. Fine. So to manage all these things, okay, we use a centralized controller, which is known as test ng, or people also use Cucumber or JUnit. There are lots of other frameworks. Fine. Now, guys, the thing is, if you talk about Selenium, then Selenium as a tool will only be here. Selenium has got commands which will just interact with the browser. Selenium never helps us generate reports or manage data, okay, or even execute the scripts in a certain order. All right. Script 1 can be built in Selenium. Selenium will have command like click, type, open the browser, navigate to website, read the title of the page. It has got basic commands which will interact with the browser. It's not supporting other things like report generation or something. Okay. So you use the centralized controller which goes and invokes the scripts. All right. And this centralized controller testng, it helps you to write, basically it helps you to write test cases and execute them as well. Okay, so it helps you to generate the HTML reports which can be presented to the client, manage the data, also coordinate running on Selenium Grid. Right, so this is what a test ng does, and we are going to learn about test ng as well, extend reports as well. Now, what is Git and Jenkins? Most of you must be knowing about it. Okay, like I'll just give you a brief idea. If there are multiple team members in a team, all right, and suppose they have to build 100 scripts. Okay, they distribute that, fine. This team member will build say 40 scripts. This team member is going to build 20. He is going to build 20, and this guy will also build 20 scripts. So total 100 scripts they have to build. But when they merge their code and it becomes a single project, they have to keep the code somewhere. Fine. So we use the Git repository. There are many repositories on the internet. SVN is there, Git. In earlier days, CVS repository used to be there, so that every team member can put the code on the centralized repository, a repository where the collaborative code is kept. Okay, that is known as Git. All right, and you must be having github.com. Everybody must be knowing about it, right? And we have another tool known as Jenkins, right, which is again very important, and it is used for continuous integration. What do you mean by that? Right. Basically, what happens is that if you want to run the code on Git, you can use Jenkins. Jenkins can connect to GitHub, and whatever the project, suppose this is the project kept by everyone on GitHub, Jenkins can run the project. And it's not just about running, right? It can run it as per the schedule. Say you can say that fine, this particular project has to be executed on from Git uh, every night at 12 o'clock or every morning at 9 o'clock. So Jenkins will automatically connect to Git and run the scripts, and all the team members will get an email of the reports that what happened when the scripts they executed. So nobody has to interfere in between and start the script or something. Okay. And the most important thing is that, right, when you are working on a code, sorry, when you're working on in a team, there are four team members. And if by chance, by any mistake or whatever it is, this guy, say this person over here, he uploads something on the Git which is not correct. Programmatically, it is not correct. The program has got some error. So what happens is that there is a feature in Jenkins with which, run on, you can say upload. As soon as anyone uploads the code on Git, Jenkins can run the script immediately. And if there is any error, it can email to all the team members telling that something has gone wrong on the centralized repository. Because what happens is that if anyone in the team he uploads something which is incorrect on a central repository, nobody else comes to know about it. Only when some other person he gets the code on his machine, maybe after 2 days or after the weekend, he comes to know that somebody had uploaded something wrong. Okay, so this is what exactly Jenkins does. Okay, it can run the code from Git, not on Git, from Git. It can get the code from the Git and run it. You can schedule the runs as well as if someone from the team member he uploads the wrong code, it can inform everyone that something wrong has gone. So this process is known as content continuous integration. And Jenkins is used for continuous integration. That is, everybody can integrate their code continuously on Git after building the scripts. Okay, right. So we are going to do Jenkins and Git as well. It's very easy. It's all about configuration, nothing else. Right. Now, anybody with any questions?
Hi, I have
Yes.
it. So the main difference between Jenkins and Git is like in Jenkins we can schedule and run the code. So that is the main difference.
Yes, Git is just a repository where you can keep the code. Okay, Jenkins can read the code from Git and also execute it. Okay, Git
Okay.
is like a warehouse. You just keep stuff over there. That's it. Or it will never validate the code, syntax, anything. It is just a place where you can collaborate and store the code.
Okay. So we can use either one. It's not mandatory use both, right?
We use both of them, Git as well as Jenkins. We place the code on Git.
Okay.
Okay, Jenkins can execute the code.
Okay.
Whether it has to execute the code, you have to execute the code manually, you can do that, or you can tell Jenkins that run after every 3 hours or run every day at 9 o'clock in the morning, or even run when somebody has updated the code, just run it so that everyone gets an email if something goes wrong. Okay, so this is what Jenkins is, right? Okay, now moving ahead, right, starting off with basic Java, right? So the thing is, you can download JDK 11 as I told you, you can install JRE, and you can also download Eclipse. It's the editor, open source editor for Java language. Many people use IntelliJ as well. That's licensed, and you can use that as well. It's one of the same thing, right? You just have to write the code. Okay, you can download Eclipse, install it, and this is my Eclipse. I'll just close it. Right. And when you hold on, Right. So you will find Eclipse, and after installing it, just a minute. Yeah, it will save the workspace. It takes a little while. So the complete coding, all the projects, whatever we have to do, we will be doing inside Eclipse. And you know, when you start up Eclipse, it will ask you for your workspace path. Okay. At times, what happens is that Eclipse doesn't start up. You get some error like JRE line not found or something. Okay, you have to go to the location where Eclipse is installed, right? And over here, like in my PC, it is installed. Just a minute, it's hanged. Hold on. This thing has hanged. Yeah. So in my PC, this is installed over here. Okay. You will find in the installation directory a configuration file for Eclipse. All right. In this configuration file, just edit it and give this path over here -vm. Okay, under the startup, you have to tell where a jvm.dll file is. jvm.dll is under the Java directory under the JRE folder, JRE which you install. Okay, at times Eclipse is not able to find JVM. So under JRE, there is a bin, and under bin you'll find a server folder. Under this jvm.dll is there. So you need to give this particular path. So it automatically will find it. Fine. And then you can start up Eclipse. When Eclipse starts up, this error you might not find every time. In case you find an error, only then you need to do it. Otherwise, there is no need. Fine. And you will see this. It will ask you for a workspace path. Okay. And I'll create a workspace that is March or 2021. Fine. So this is the place or the directory where we will be storing the complete code or whatever we are building in the training. Okay, we will be storing everything out here. So let Eclipse open. Right. So I'll close this screen. Right. So this is the package explorer where we keep all the projects and all. Right. You can close the ones on the right side. The central portion we do the coding. Most of you must be knowing about it. Right. So you create a new Java project, and I'll just name it as day one. Okay. Right. Now I'll just make a new class or new Java file. It's known as also known as a class, right? Known as basics.java, and you click on this checkbox, public static void main, right? And you will have a file generated. Okay, let me just increase the font size. Just a minute. Yeah, I think it will be clear now. Look, every programming language has a main function where the control comes up for the very first time. I am assuming you know basics of programming. Okay, I am assuming that at least you know if statements, you know what for loops are. Okay, little bit idea about the functions as well, because these things are there in every programming language. Okay, right, every programming language have some integers, like you can write int a equals 200, some strings. Okay, this is a string. In Java also you have a string. In order to, print something in Java, the command is system.out.println. You can write this with a shortcut. You can type SYSO, hit the control space bar, and you can print something. In order to run the program, you can go to this small button on the top, run basics.java, click on it. It will execute the program. You'll get the output at the bottom, or you can also right click on the Java file and you can say run as a Java application. So I'm assuming you know basics of programming at least. Okay, because my goal over here is to make you understand object oriented programming. Oops. If you look at the Selenium website, all right, and if you scroll down under the download section, you will see Java over here and you will see the API docs. All right. API docs is nothing but the documentation of Selenium. This is the documentation. You can go to the frames view. All right. So this documentation is completely object oriented, right? You need to understand the concept of oops to understand this particular documentation. Fine. So we'll be learning oops. Okay. Moreover, there is one more link over here known as changelog. This changelog, it defines all the changes which happen in Selenium with time. You see, it will tell you about each and every version that how stuff it changed and stabilized in Selenium with time. And if some new version comes up, they mention all the change logs over here. Okay, right. Now, you don't, as a beginner, you don't know to need to go in the change logs. When you learn Selenium properly, then you can go out here. All right. Now, in Java, as far as Java is concerned, like I executed this program, printed hello world. Okay. If you right click on the project, you will get lots of options. We will see these options one by one. And the last option is the properties option. Shortcut is Alt Enter. Fine. If you go to the properties, you will see a lot of properties. With time, gradually we learn about them as well. You also have the path where the project is lying over here on the hard drive. This is the initial workspace path which I had created under this day one project is there. You can open it as well. You click on this icon and you see that day one project is opened in your Explorer. And when you open this, you will see a bin folder as well as source folder. This source folder is there visible inside Eclipse as well. Inside source folder, you have basics.java file. Fine. And there is a bin folder as well. In bin folder, you will see class file, basics.class file. When you open it, you will not be able to understand it. It's not in binary, but it's in some machine language format, we call it. Every Java file is converted into a class file. All right. At runtime, it is converted into a class file, and this class file is actually executed. And this class file is platform independent. You can build it on Windows, you can run it on Linux, Mac, any machine. It's like you can say something like exe we have in Java, but exe is only for Windows. But this class file you can execute it on any platform, and that is why Java is platform independent and it is very famous because of this reason that you build the script on any platform and you run it on any platform. If I make another Java file, I make a new class known as say print something.java, right? Just a sample one in which I'll just go and print say good morning, right? And if I run it, it will print good morning. And if I go to the bin folder, I will automatically have the class file generated of for print something.java. Okay, now what happens is that in real-time projects, okay, in real-time projects, we have got lot of Java files, and corresponding to every Java file, you have a class file. So there it becomes like too many class files in a real-time project. And if you have to give all these classes to the client or you want to deliver it to someone, you put them in a single file. This file is known as a jar file. This is nothing but a collection of class files. Everybody knows the concept of WinZip or WinRAR. It zips everything. It's something like zipping all the class files, because in a real-time project we just don't have two Java files, we have lots of Java files, and corresponding to every Java file there will be a class file. So we put all the class files into a single file known as jar file, and we deliver the jar file to the client. Okay, like when you install Java on your machine, if you look at this day one project, you have this GRE system library. This is nothing but Java which is there on your machine. Java is collection of many jar files. Okay. Java is collection of many other jar files. And every jar file over here has got lot of class files under them which can be used. For example, if I just write over here system.out.println new date. Okay, and date is a class you can import. It is present under one of these jars. What is this new? I'll talk about it in some time. But if I just use one of the classes which is present in these jars, okay, and run it, it prints me the current date, time, time zone, everything. I never had to, you know, do the logic or write the logic to print this. I used an existing functionality. And that is exactly what happens in Selenium as well. In Selenium, everything is inbuilt. You just need to learn the commands. Okay. You just need to get the jars. These are the Java jar files. In Eclipse, these are the Java jar files. They come up with lot of internal pre-built things. One of them I just used. Okay. Now, whosoever made Selenium, he gave us the jar file beta download. You can click on this link and you will have, I'm also downloading beta for the first time. Otherwise it used to be alpha. So you will have this zip file. You take this zip and hold on. I'll keep it here. Beta 1. You extract it, right? And under this, you will see lot of jar files. These are jar files. Selenium is not installed. There is no exe, but there are jar files. And there will be more jar files under the lib folder. Okay. All you need to do is that you need to include these jars inside Eclipse to make your project Selenium enabled. Okay. So you just need to right click on the project, go to the properties. Fine. And you will see lots of options. Go to Java build path. This one. In this, you will have lots of tabs. You need to go to the libraries tab and click on add external jars. All right. When you click on this, you can go to the location where you have downloaded the jars. This is the jars. Select all the jars except the lib one. Right. And include them. And then click on add external jars and go inside the lib folder and include all the jars which are there in the lib as well. So make sure you import the jars in the lib as well. People forget it and then they fall into trouble. Right. And you will have a section known as reference libraries generated. If under this, you will see all the jar files. If you don't see reference libraries, make sure in Eclipse you are in Java perspective. You click on this small icon, open perspective, and make sure you are in Java default perspective. Okay, there are many perspectives. We'll talk about them gradually. Okay, so these are all the jar files which you will be using in Selenium. These jar files have got inbuilt commands. We'll be learning about them. Selenium is nothing, but there are commands in Selenium which you need to learn about. Okay, everything is inbuilt. Right. If I write over here, new Chrome driver say, I'm not teaching you anything. I'm just giving an example that I have just given a command, new Chrome driver. And if you run this code, you will see that a blank Chrome browser will open up. When you write this command in your machine, it won't open up. There are many configurations which you need to do. I'll talk about that. But the idea about here is telling you all this is that there are inbuilt commands in Selenium which do all the things for you. And you need to understand those commands. And to understand those commands and to implement them properly, you need to understand OOPS, object oriented programming. Fine. Okay. So that's all from my side. We'll stop here for today. Okay, because I don't want to really confuse you on the day one. I had to be just a brief introductory session, you can